as I followed these other formulas, I felt that it took me further and further and further away from who I actually am and how I want to show up. And I ended up like feeling not aligned in my own business. And that was hard for me because I'm all about alignment. I'm all about being in integrity and like living as your truest, most authentic, expressed self. And yet, as I grew my business, it felt I was moving further and further away from that. So like getting into human design where I get to do it in the way that is correct for me and in the way that honors me and that speaks to the people that I'm here to serve. That for me is absolute magic.
I'm excited to have you here. We're going to be talking a little bit about content creation, joining Content by Design, being a participant, what's been going on in your business, all the things. So first, can you tell me a little bit about your business? Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Yes, so my business has been evolving and growing and becoming richer and more juicy since I actually joined Content by Design. So, and it's not that the work that I'm doing is changing, but it's how I'm speaking to it and how I'm finally clear on who I'm serving. And so who I work with are driven, high-achieving women who tend to burn out. And what I support them with is I've realized that these women don't see their own brilliance. They don't know like the majestic power, I want to say, that is available to them. And what I help them do is come back into themselves, come home to themselves so that they can actually see that brilliance and own their genius, to allow them to go and create more success with less effort. So less hustle and more juice in life.
I love the word juice and juicy.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love the clarity that you have now as well. So as you're watching or listening into this, Tertia speaks to second lines. And that was one of the things that we worked through in Content by Design. And I'm a second line. And I serve second lines as well. Part of my business is serving second lines. And it's always about getting clear. Like it is so hard for second lines to get clear and to actually see their own genius. So I love that you're helping them with that work. And I think you do it differently than anyone else as well. Like your embodiment seems, I don't know, there's just something magical about the way that you do what you do.
Yeah.
Can you speak to some of the tools that you're using?
Thank you. Yes. I think, so often the word embodiment it's quite a trendy term, and we often think of, when we speak about embodiment, we think I embody this kind of energy. I embody my queen energy. I embody my like boss girl energy or whatever it may be. And yes, it could be that we embody a energy. I think also when we think about embodiment, we also tend to think only nervous system work, like regulating your nervous system, making sure your nervous system is on board, getting that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response out of the way so that you can like access all of you. And the embodiment work that I do has an aspect of that as well. But, and here I'm borrowing the term from my teacher, Jenna Ward, who I did my embodiment training through. She speaks of embodiment is when you inhabit yourself. So it means that you are fully present with the whole of you, with all of who you are. And I think it's so important, especially in today's day and age, where, we tend to not only look to outside authority to kind of give us permission to be who we are or do what we want to do, but we have this idea, and this comes from personal development, and I've got like the new age personal development movement, and I've got a problem with that because I fell into that trap that you have to keep high vibes. You have to like be love and light. You have to like only bring the goodness into your life and into your expression. Otherwise, you're going to get into trouble and you're going to attract bad things. And I fell for that. I took that as gospel, and that set me off on a whole direction that I don't even want to get into here. But when we truly inhabit ourselves, when we inhabit all of who we are, we accept both our lightness and our playfulness and our joy, but we also accept our darkness. And our anger and our rage and our melancholy and our sadness. And we hold space for all of this to coexist within us. And when we do that, then we don't have to hide anything about ourselves, because we don't have any shame. We don't have anything that we think, oh my goodness, I don't want anybody to know this about me, because then I'll be rejected. They won't love me. They'll think there's something wrong with me. Because when we think like that, we walk around with masks and we protect ourselves, and we don't have boundaries, because we like allow people to, I almost want to say, have their way with us, because we are protecting our little secret. And when we embody ourselves in totality, we don't have any secrets that we keep anymore. And that's when we can truly step into our power, into our magnetism, into our genius, into our gifts, and live from that place where we are fully expressed and fully fulfilled, and getting that meaning that we all want from life.
Okay, so if you are listening to this and that just sparked fire in your soul, please drop a fire for Tertia here. Like, yes, yes.
I'm feeling like fiery.
Yes, I love it. Bring all of the fire. And I'm also hearing you in this, bring your third line in, your third line and your fifth line. You are speaking like a true 3-5 here. So how have you had to step into this, or out of this energy of feeling shame around making mistakes, feeling shame around getting it wrong? How have you been actively playing in that energy?
Yeah, I think this is where the content by design just took me over that little edge, because I had already done, through my own embodiment work and nervous system work and healing, I've done so much in terms of releasing my own shame and guilt and not enoughness. And yet, at the same time, there's always this little question, but why am I always ending up in these positions or these situations? Like, why is this always happening to me? And I look at other people and they're like, it doesn't happen to them. Like, what's going on here? And then when I learned, oh, it's a 3-5 thing, and girl, this is just how it is. So, make peace with that. That was like a relief. And I look back at some of the things that I used to like have anguish over, and I go, oh, that was a 3 lesson. That's why I did that. So, and I learned from that. So I can let that go now.
Yeah.
So that's been so helpful. And my 2 kids are also 3-5s, my 2 boys. So that helps me in terms of how I also parent them, because I know kind of, when they bump up against life, I know that it's not because they're being naughty or being, they don't have common sense, or they're being whatever. I know where this is coming from. And so I feel I can give them an extra level of support, which allows them to not enter into shame because of all the things that go wrong in their lives, if that makes any sense.
It makes all of the sense in the world. Yeah. And I think it was Juliana actually that gave me the saying that 3-5s are kind of unhinged. And I just, 3-5s are my absolute favorite, but I think my heart just kind of breaks for all of the shaming and all of the hiding that you've been conditioned to do because you're afraid to not get it right. And I love to see 3-5s come through Content by Design and actually stand in, I'm going to get it wrong, and I'm going to show you what you can learn from me getting it wrong. It's so powerful. You can feel your power here. I mean, you're always a powerful woman, but in your content, it's just so fun to see.
Yeah, thank you, Vickie.
Yeah, well, thanks for playing full out with us too, because you did play full out. So the other thing that I love about, I love 3-5s because, or third lines and fifth lines, because lots of times you'll just be like, yeah, no. And you did that a few times in Content by Design. Like you had to sit back and go, and you have to go out and play with it. And then you come back and go, oh, okay. So can you talk about the process of actually experimenting with things in your business?
Yes, it's so funny. I was actually thinking about exactly that this morning, because the current offer that I have, I already decided what my offer is back in September, October of last year. I already knew exactly what is the transformation that I'm going to take women through. And I didn't land on it so solidly. So it took me like a whole loop to work through all of that and actually finally end up here again where I am today, to see all of the questions that I have, all of the avenues that I explored. I didn't do it because there's something wrong. I did it because that's part of my experimenting, to go and see, is this the real fit? If this is the real transformation, does this really light me up? Is this what I can like get all fiery about and get all excited about? Is this coming from like the deepest part of me, or is this just something that's coming from my mind, from my head? Mm-hmm. And so no matter what I do, I have to go through this process where I get the information, I get the insight, and then sometimes it takes me a little while to kind of process it and sit with it. And if you don't know this about yourself, like if I didn't, before I knew this about myself, it was so frustrating for me because I was always wondering, why can't I just, get it over and done with? Why can't I just take something and see it through to the end? Why must I always tweak it? And why must I always like adjust and try and improve? But I see now this is part of the 3-5 process, because I have to be in it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if your incarnation cross also plays a role in how we experience our profile. But I'm in the quarter of civilization. That's very much to do with the body and bringing it into form. So for me, it's really about, I have to be in it and experience it and process it, not on a mental level, but on a actual getting my hands dirty level. And then only do I come out on the other side, and probably it will evolve again. But yes, so that was quite a process. And what I wanted to say is, if you don't know that, you think that there's something wrong with you. Well, there isn't. That's just how you are. And accepting that and loving even that part of you that takes time to get to where it needs to be, that gives me more power to show up in the way that I want to. Mm-hmm. In confidence and knowing that I can hold the space for other women who are perhaps even going through a similar situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have a lot of openness in your design. So for you, if you're listening or watching this, Tertia is a generator, a 3-5 sacral generator, and she has only 2 centers defined, which lots of times people think, oh, you're a generator, you're going to have all of this definition and you're going to be so, you are energetic, but you have one channel, the 952, which over and over again we saw in Content by Design, your process of experimenting, but also needing to focus on one thing, needing to be really dialed in on the thing that you were in on. How do you find that openness plays? Because you're taking in a lot of stuff from the field. What do you do about that?
Yeah, sometimes it gets too much. I actually, when I was told I'm a generator, I actually thought it can't be true. I need to be a projector, because why do I need this away time? Why do I get so... And I feel that I just need to step back. But I understand now it is because of my openness. Mm-hmm. And the way that I look at it now, if like in your world, we say that the lessons that we get through our open centers, that is what we can give over to others. That is what we can transfer to others. And if we like bring into play resonance and energy, and how being in someone's in presence who has experienced what you are going through, like the space that they can hold for you, it's something that I'm like enjoying now, the fact that I have all that openness because of all the life lessons that I've learned. Mm-hmm. And because of like, I really get where people are. I know what they are going through, because most likely I have experienced something along those lines with regards to the work that I do with them. So I think I almost want to bring my 3-5 into that as well, where, it all links into each other.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. I'm like, well, and you're 3-5.
Yeah. It's like my design is just perfect for me.
Well, that's the thing. But so often we don't know our design, or we don't know how to embody it in our business. Like there's so many people walking around living their design in their life, and then they live their business and they think it's bro marketing, it's hustle, it's one size fits all of these things. But it can totally be, your whole business can be based on your design.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I really loved about coming into CBD, because like the reason why I got into it in the first place was because like I know how to do my craft. It's part of who I am. It's my own lived experience. But getting the word out to the people to say, look, I'm here. Let me support you. Let me guide you. Let me hold space for you. It has to land on the right ears. And what happened to me was that I was listening to bro marketers, and I was listening to all kinds of different, this is how you should do it. This is how you should build your business. This is how you should build community. But what happened is, as I followed these other formulas, I felt that it took me further and further and further away from who I actually am and how I want to show up. And I ended up like feeling not aligned in my own business. And that was hard for me because I'm all about alignment. I'm all about being in integrity and like living as your truest, most authentic, expressed self. And yet, as I grew my business, it felt I was moving further and further away from that. So like getting into human design, where I get to do it in the way that is correct for me and in the way that honors me and that speaks to the people that I'm here to serve, that for me is absolute magic. And it was so brilliant that I could learn this, because now I am in integrity with myself. And I absolutely love that. And I know that all of us that have gone through this CBD experience with you, and that, you know, we're still in your world, we all get to gift that to our clients, is to bring our true selves to them. And that is a magnificent gift, to be able to gift that to people. So I really, really love that.
So as you're listening or viewing, if that lights fire in your soul as well, that you want that magic, just pop some love in there for Tertia, because I think you're dropping gold here for people and really helping them to understand and empower them to stand as themselves in their own businesses, because that's what it's all about. And that's the energy of what we're moving into in the world as we go down this crooked little path that we are on together lately. So one more question. You talked about, it made me think of, you know, when you got famous for the wrong thing. There's no wrong thing as a third line profile. Let's just clear that up again. But you had a little bit of resistance to the burnout language. And now I would love for you to shout out your podcast as well, because you actually ended up using that, because it's so important that we use the words and the language that our ideal client is using. So this is one of those situations where, you know, we're sitting on a call together and I see Tertia's resistance go in. She's like, and I'm like, okay, exactly. You can't tell the third line. Okay, she's going to go play with it. You went and played with it, and then you came back. Can you talk a little bit about how that came to be, but also like how it feels as a third line to have to bump up against something and then actually do it in a different way?
What happened in, I think it was one of the calls where you brought Adam in to speak about podcasting. And I had spoken about burnout before, but I never committed to it. So I would just in passing say, yeah, kind of the women I serve, they suffer from burnout. They've been in the burnout cycle for however many years, and it keeps on coming back. But I would never like explicitly put my hand up and say, right, this is kind of my woman. And then in the podcast with Adam, I wanted to rebrand the podcast. So on that call, we were talking about it, and he said, yeah, burnout. And I was like, no. And burnout, no. And even when you and I then after spoke about it, and you said, well, burnout this is what, I was like, no, I don't want to do this.
I remember.
I was getting like, oh.
Yeah.
And then when we left afterwards, I was sitting with this and I was going like, so what's actually going on here? And what I then landed on was my own experience of burnout. So I burnt out quite dramatically, as I do most things in my life. Back in, I was diagnosed in 2018 with chronic fatigue and with fibromyalgia, and that was on the back end of my burnout cycle. Which happened when I was a new mom in a new country, like no support, building a business, trying to manage the language and getting all of that done perfectly. at the same time. So, and I realized after the call that we had that I felt so much shame about burning out, because there was still a part of me, even with everything that I know in my soul, there was still a part of me that said, I should have been able to handle it. I should have been able to get through to the other side. And I should have just, chin up, look north and go forward. That was a direct translation of an Afrikaans expression, which doesn't work so well in English. But yeah, I had a lot of shame about that. And so my work was, first of all, before I could step into the work of working with other women who are burnt out, I had to first go and heal that wound in myself about feeling shame for not handling it as the world tells us we are supposed to do, which is rubbish. But knowing it logically is different to knowing it on a nervous system level. So I had to go and create that safety inside to own even that part of myself and to love that part of myself. And that's where the healing lies. So that, I don't know if that answers how my 3-5 played into it, but that's how it happened for me. And it was so interesting because the moment that I saw the shame that I was holding, and I sat with that, and I've got an embodiment practice that I use for cases like this, something that I developed. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh, and then the charge was completely gone. So, and I think then within half a day, I had like boom, 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 new design, new title, new description, new everything, started recording podcasts. So that was brilliant. It was like that last block of resistance. As soon as it was out of the way, then I got into flow again and I could create from that place.
And now you help other women to do the same.
And help other women to do the same. And specifically those women who don't see their gifts, who don't see what they're capable of, who are always putting other people's needs ahead of their own for whatever reasons, those women who struggle to hold boundaries. And I really support them to break free from this burnout, self-doubt cycle that we so get stuck in, and get out on the other side so that they can start creating life on their terms and start living life on their terms, where they are having a rich life experience on all areas, not only in business or career, but everywhere in their life, so they can live fully. So that's what I help them with, yes.
Well, thank you for being here, Tertia. I appreciate you. And I know that you were getting lots of love in the comments.
Yes, I
lots
saw
of women saying,
the little hearts. Thank you, everyone. That's lovely.
Women can find this very relatable. Women find this very relatable, what you're talking about, how we tell ourselves that we should and all of the things, third line or not. So obviously, if you want to get into Tertia's world, you can follow her along from this IG Live. Also, would you give a shout out for your podcast, please?
Yes. So you will find me on all the big podcast platforms, and my podcast is called Burnout, or Beyond Burnout for Driven Women, Burnout-Free Living for High Achieving and Driven Women. So that's a mouthful, but if you just search for Beyond Burnout for Driven Women, then you will find me. And I hope that you give me a listen and you give me a love while you're listening. Thank you.
And listen to all of that burnout in that podcast name. When you were so resistant.
I'm like owning this, baby.
It's all about the keywords.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here, Tertia. I appreciate you so much. And I'll see you when we start again in a couple of weeks in CBD.
Yes, I'm so excited because I'm going into the next level now. And thank you so much for the chat here. I really enjoyed it. And I'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.